Using word in scaffolding student in a learning classroom. So, what is scaffolding education? Scaffolding is a way to provide support for students by breaking down learning into manageable chunks as they progress towards stronger understanding and ultimately greater independence. In other words, it's a way for teachers to provide support while students master new concepts and skills. The strategy is based on the work of Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky, whose theories stress the fundamental rule of social interaction in cognitive development. He theorized that children learn best when they interact with other people, particularly more knowledgeable people who provide guidance and encouragement to master new skills. Using the much lauded concept, the zone of proximal development, teacher can guide, support, and encourage students as they help them develop problem-solving strategies that can be generalized to other situations. So there are 18 ways in scaffolding strategies. First is teach mini lessons. Break down new concepts into bite-sized pieces that build on one another. Teaching a series of mini lessons provides students with a safety net that moves them progressively toward deeper understanding. So teach mini lessons is the connection between teacher and students. For example, using language such as today I am going to teach you or today you will learn and explain why you are going to teach this idea. This allows the students to understand the importance of the skill or strategy. Next, use explicit instruction. One of the best practices in supporting learners is the use of systematic explicit instruction. Catching students' errors while they're still practicing will prevent them from learning the skill incorrectly and then continuing to practice it incorrectly for homework and on other assignments. So, example of use explicit instruction is once you have taught a lesson on one's digit subtraction without regrouping, you would give your students 100 problems to practice by themselves. Instead, you would provide students with 5 examples to do together with you and then 5 problems to provide I mean 5 problems to practice with a partner and then 5 problems to practice independently. So next is use think alouds to model or demonstrate. Verbalize your thought process as you demonstrate. Use a think aloud strategy to give your student a model for an inner dialogue they can copy. So think aloud. The purpose of the think aloud strategy is to model for student how skilled reader construct meaning from a text. Next, or number 4, describe concepts in multiple ways. The more ways you approach learning, the more sense it will make for students. So it is understandable. We will proceed to number 5. Break large tasks into smaller steps. Scaffolding learning by breaking down directions into chunks the students can complete one step at a time. Milestones should be aligned with your project goals to ensure that you make steady progress towards achievement. They are vital for breaking up a big list of tasks into manageable chunks of work, making it easier for workers to make progress. Next is slow down. It is an effective scaffolding strategy when we pause at various points of instructions and break it up. When we slow down, we will give our students more time to process. Through this, we will be able to help our students in learning. It is an effective scaffolding strategy when we pause at various points of instruction and break it up. Next is incorporate visual aids. Show a video, pass out colorful images, or provide a concrete object to start of a new lesson. For example, if you're teaching a lesson on polyhedrons, place models of different types on tables for students to see and touch. So visual aids must be clear, concise, and of a high quality. Use graphs and charts to present data. The audience should not be trying to read and listen at the same time. Use visual aids to highlight your points. One message per visual aid. For example, on a slide there should be one key point. Next is front-load concept-specific vocabulary. Arm students with specific academic language they will need to understand ahead of time so that vocabulary doesn't become a stumbling block to higher level learning. So front-loading vocabulary instruction when students already understand a concept may hold value as students already have something to build on. So, for example, students know what it means to feel heartbroken. Teaching them the term devastated before they see it in a text can be helpful. Next is activate prior knowledge. Show students the big picture, make connection to concepts and skills students have already learned, connect to experiences they have had, such as field trips or other projects. So, activate prior knowledge as teaching strategy. Whenever you introduce a new topic to students, you should aim to activate their prior knowledge. For example, if you are introducing an historical figure, you could compare or contrast them with a famous person today. Next is give student talk time. Be sure to give kids plenty of time process new information by partnering them up or breaking them into smaller groups. Have them articulate concepts in their own words to one another. Come back together as a whole group and share any insight that might be helpful to everyone. So, giving students talking time will give them time to have a good sharing with their thoughts to their classmates or peers. Next is give students to practice. Give students time to practice. So after you model learning for students, take some time to practice with them. So giving students time to practice will help them uh, learn learn some, will help them learn something from others that could be helpful for their understanding in the process of learning. Next is during lessons, check for understanding. Check and often to make sure students are with you. A simple thumbs up, a sticky note check-in, or a desktop flip chart are few of the ways you can check for understanding. See who's good to go, who's almost there, and who needs some one-on-one. So for example, thumbs up if they understand, wave hand if they don't understand yet and have a doubt, then thumbs down if they don't understand at all. Next is use graphic organizer. A graphic organizer is a powerful visual learning tool that teachers can use to help students organize their thinking before, during, or after a lesson. So, a graphic organizer can help visualize and construct ideas, organize and or sequence information, plan to write, increase reading comprehension, brainstorm, organize problem and solutions, compare and contrast ideas, show cause and effect, and more. So it is helpful for a teacher to use graphic organizer before and after their lessons. Next is try sentence starters. Sometimes a head start helps students gather their thoughts, provide students with the first part of statements and ask them to fill in the blanks. Sentence starters can be an especially great support for English language learners. Next is Coach students to help each other. When learning a new concept or reading a difficult passage together, call on strong students to answer a question, then call on another student to repeat in his or her own words what was just said. By listening and repeating, you reinforce your students' understanding. So, facilitating students in learning will make a good collaboration that reinforce students' understanding. Next is set clear expectation. Students, like most of us, perform better when they fully understand what is expected of them, describe the purpose of the assignment, and give them give them complete examples of the learning goals they are expected to achieve. So, give them clear directions and show them exemplars of high quality work. Provide them with a rubric so they know exactly what to do successfully master the concept. Next is ask open-ended question. So another important tool we have is questioning. Asking questions allows students to organize their thoughts and elaborate on their process. The key is making sure you ask meaningful questions. So example of this is that you give students a question where they can answer it with their own thinking and with their own opinion. Next is use technology. So technology can help simplify the scaffolding process. Make playlist of lecture videos for students to watch before the lesson. So for example of this is the Google Classroom, where a teacher can post her works or her videos, discussion videos in a Google Classroom. So that's all. Thank you for listening.